district attorneys was they were hiding documents that have forced them to give documents. I think there's so many fucking powerful people that are on those partied.
Talking about Diddy and his oil parties with these 18-year-olds, like, do I think it's good? No.
No.
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, do.
No party like a Diddy party.
When you're under a power, man, it's just, I can't go into details now, but like some sacrificial stuff was going on, man. Like,
the guy from Chappelle Show?
Yeah. And then Dave's there too, and then Russell Simmons too. Oh boy.
One of the jokes that I discussed on the tour is the fact that they would have these parties in the Hollywood Hills.
They canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude?
Imagine knowing the truth, having the receipts, saying it out loud, in interviews, on stage, into cameras, and being called crazy for it. Now imagine watching every single thing you said get confirmed in a federal indictment. That's not a movie plot. That happened to real people, and this is their story. The landscape, and why Joe Rogan couldn't look away. Joe Rogan has sat across from some of the most controversial figures alive. He has talked about government secrets, industry corruption, and crimes that most hosts won't touch. But the Diddy case kept pulling him back. Every time he thought he had the full picture, something new surfaced. Another name, another connection, another layer underneath the one he'd just uncovered. And the thing Rogan kept noticing, the thread that ran through everything, was the same circles, the same darkness, just different faces each time. On the JRE, he and comedian Andrew Schultz started building a theory. What if Sean Combs wasn't just a music mogul who did terrible things? What if he was something more structured than that? A middleman, a tool, someone allegedly running a system of control for people far above his own level of power. What if the parties, the recordings, the access, what if all of it was about leverage? Rogan called it a blackmail vault. Videos of powerful people in compromising situations. The kind of material that doesn't just end careers, it ends freedom. And here's what made the whole conversation land differently. Rogan wasn't breaking new ground. He was catching up to people who had already been saying this for years. People who paid a serious price for saying it.
Cat Williams, the man who said it first. Before the raids, before the arrest, before the federal indictment was a single page long, Cat Williams was already talking. In what became one of the most replayed interviews in recent memory, Cat sat down and looked directly into the camera and said that 2024 would be the year it all came out. That the entertainment industry's darkest chapters would finally be forced into the open. He named Diddy specifically. Months before the arrest. Months. So when the news broke and the whole world scrambled to catch up, Cat Williams wasn't scrambling. He was waiting. He'd been waiting a long time. In that same interview, he made a claim that stopped people cold. He said he was offered $50 million, not once, but 4 separate times, to participate in what he called industry entrapment.
No, not they offered him 50 million and he turned it down. Who gonna turn down 50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body.
The kind of offer that looks like an opportunity, but is really a transaction. You get the money, the doors open, and in return, they own something of you forever. He turned it down every single time. 4 times he said no, and he understood exactly what no was going to cost him. But here's what made people go back and listen to him even more carefully. It wasn't just what he said, it was what he described seeing. Cat Williams said he never went inside Diddy's Hollywood Hills property, never attended a single party, but they watched the parking lot.
So one of the jokes that I discuss on the tour is the fact that they would have these parties in the Hollywood Hills, you know, and then they would have a parking lot where they would shuttle people up. So everybody would meet in this parking lot and they would send shuttles down to, you know, Diddy's parties. And so I wasn't ever invited to the parties, but I was invited to the parking lot because I knew the people that ran the shuttle service.
He knew the people running the shuttle service that took guests up to the estate. And he would sit in that parking lot, watch the who's who of Hollywood climb into those shuttles and wait for them to come back down. He said when they came back, something was different. Eyes that wouldn't focus. Clothes not quite right. Shoelaces undone. Something taken from them that their body language couldn't hide, no matter how hard they tried. He described it with no embellishment, and he said, those men were never the same after.
The punchlines that weren't jokes. Cat Williams had a stand-up bit, a joke about baby oil. The punchline was that God gave him eczema, so he couldn't use it, and therefore couldn't be lured in. People laughed. It was absurd. It was Cat, the master of turning dark things into comedy. Then, investigators executing a search warrant at Diddy's home found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Nobody laughed after that. He also joked about what he saw in Diddy's home. 233 surveillance cameras, but no Bible, no living plants, no vitamins, and crucially, no handcuff keys. He delivered it like a bit, timed for laughs. It turned out to be a documentary. And then there was the Kevin Hart comparison. In 2013, Hart hosted Saturday Night Live and performed a sketch in a dress and wig, framed as comedy, just a bit. And right after that appearance, Hart's career moved into a completely different stratosphere. Netflix deals, global film franchise, untouchable status. Cat Williams, who had publicly refused similar requests, was being quietly erased from the industry at the exact same time. Not because his talent disappeared, because he wouldn't play along. His phone stopped ringing. His reputation got dismantled in the press. Stories ran about his personal life, his stability, his judgment. The full machine turned on him, and he saw it for exactly what it was. He said it plainly. Whoever made you is qualified to break you. Back in the day, they called it propaganda. Now, they just call it business. Comment below. Who do you think knew the most and said the absolute least? Gene Deal, the man who was actually in the room. Cat Williams was watching from the outside. Gene Deal was inside. Deal served as Diddy's personal bodyguard for years. He was in the car, at the door, in the room, embedded at the highest level of that world for an extended period of time. When a man with that kind of proximity decides to start talking, what he says carries a completely different weight. And what he described changed the entire shape of the story. The morning of Diddy's 1999 shooting trial verdict, the day that could have ended his career entirely, Deal says Diddy had his driver pull over in Central Park. Standing there, waiting for them, was a man in all black with what appeared to be a white collar. When Diddy approached him, he got down on his knees. What followed, according to Deal, was a ritual.
Before we get to the courts, me and Puff stops in Central Park and we walk towards the boathouse. And there's this man in all black. He turns and it looked like he had the white collar. So when Puff gets directly to the dude, he gets down on his knees. When he gets down on his knees, this man takes something and it seemed like it had smoke in it and he started doing it around Puff. And then he went back and forth. And then he went up and down with it, sideways with it, then back around him. And then he put it down. And then he put his hand on Puff's head. And I guess he started, saying something. I don't even really know what he said. And when he reached into this case, he came out and you could see something white in his hand. I didn't know it was a bird. I didn't know what it was at first. But he threw it up in the air. And when he threw it in the air, the came straight back down like it was a brick and said,
The man burned sage around Diddy, prayed over him, moved in specific patterns. Then he reached into a case and produced a live white bird. He handed it to Diddy and told him to release it as an offering. Diddy threw the bird into the air. It didn't fly. It fell straight down and hit the concrete. Later that same day, Diddy was acquitted on every single charge. His protege, Shine, took the conviction. 10 years in prison for something many people believe Diddy was equally responsible for. Deal watched every second of it from inside the car. But what Deal says next is what reframes the entire story. He doesn't believe Diddy was born the person he became. He says Diddy was made, shaped by industry figures who allegedly handed him a playbook. Deeply disturbing tactics for controlling people, especially women, that had been passed down through layers of the industry long before Diddy ever used them. He didn't invent the system, he inherited it, and then he ran it.
Day 26. Living it while everyone else looked away. This is the part of the story that's hardest to sit with, because Cat Williams was watching from outside. Gene Deal was embedded at the top. But day 26, the R&B group assembled on Diddy's Making the Band were young men who were inside it while it was happening to them. From the outside, it looks like a golden ticket, primetime television, a major label, the full machinery of stardom pointed directly at them. From the inside, according to the members themselves, it was something they are still recovering from. Member Willie, who goes by Q, alleged that he received an email from Diddy containing references to human sacrifice. He described the atmosphere during that period as, in his own words, very scary and very weird. He said the situation felt sacrificial, that he genuinely feared Diddy was trying to hurt him or take him out. He also alleged that at one of Diddy's gatherings, he was handed a pill he believed was ecstasy. He blacked out. When he regained consciousness, he was in a deeply disturbing situation with people filming around him. He called it exactly what he believed it to be, a deliberate trap. Material designed to be held over him permanently. Here is what makes this account impossible to dismiss. Q didn't just tell his story years later. He went to his doctor. He told his family. He made sure people around him were on record knowing what was happening, because he was genuinely afraid that if something happened to him, if he went missing or turned up dead, nobody would know the truth of what he had been going through. He was getting monthly injections for mental health. That is not a man complaining about a bad contract. That is a man who believed his life was at risk. And the group's publishing rights? Still controlled by Diddy's estate. The money from the music they made, the shows they filmed, the success they generated, it went up. It didn't come back down to them. They were a TV product, used for ratings, squeezed until the show got what it needed, and then moved on from.
And then there's Terrence Howard. This one is different from everything else in this story. It's not about rituals or blackmail vaults or young artists being exploited. This is about one man's account of what allegedly happens when someone in that world decides they want something from you, and how they go about trying to get it. Howard sat down on Patrick Bet-David's podcast in 2025.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to f you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you notice to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers coming to make the approach.
The framing was acting lessons. Diddy supposedly wanted Howard as a coach. Reasonable enough. Howard showed up to the home multiple times over several weeks. Every single visit, Diddy had nothing prepared. No material, no questions, no script. Just silence and a stare. Visit after visit. Howard would try to engage, played his own music once, hoping for a reaction. Same stare, same silence, nothing. He had no idea what was actually happening until his assistant pulled him aside and said, "I think he's trying to get with you." Howard cut off contact immediately. No back and forth, no negotiation, done. But what he said next is what opened the conversation into something much larger. Howard said he believes there is an open secret running through the entertainment industry. That the kind of success that genuinely changes a life, the transformative, generational kind, often comes attached to a price. And that price, according to Howard, is something men don't get back once they give it up. He pointed directly at people who went to Diddy's private parties, said, "You can see what it costs. You can see it in the public unravelings, the spirals, the men who can't move past something that their public life gives no explanation for. What kind of industry, what kind of culture, rewards silence so aggressively that telling the truth costs more than staying quiet? And the harder question underneath that one, who else knew? Who else is still staying quiet right now? And what is the truth they're sitting on going to cost the next person who never got a warning?"